Next on the Delaware Way, a new bill would require businesses in Delaware to offer sexual harassment training. We'll talk to the bill's author. This is the Delaware Way. Welcome to the Delaware Way. I'm Larry Menti. The Me Too movement has gotten the attention of governments across the country, including Delaware, who want to come up with new rules and some enforcement of sexual harassment in the workplace. There's a new bill making its way through the legislature, introduced by Representative Helene Keeley, a Democrat from Wilmington. Thanks for coming back. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
What does the bill say exactly?
So exactly what House Bill 360 says basically two things. Is if you're an employer who has 50 or more people, then you need to provide sexual harassment training for your employees. And that also currently the bill states it would include like 1099. So for instance, an example of that would be I own a salon, but I rent out chairs. And as the salon owner, if I rent the chair out to Jack and one to Mary, then Jack and Mary have to take sexual harassment training, even though I don't necessarily employ them. They're independent contractors, but they're renting a chair from me, the owner of the salon.
Did you introduce the bill because you saw some type of loophole? Because most big companies have sexual harassment training, don't they?
They do. However, I think it's the frequency that sexual harassment training is conducted, number one. And number two is to make sure that an employee on a daily basis, just like they see an EEOC sign in the employee cafeteria, that they see a sexual harassment sign, and actually what the signs are and who they need to contact if they do experience sexual harassment.
And the sign would be a part of the bill?
Absolutely, yes.
And what would the sign say? Is that outlined in the bill?
It is outlined in the bill, and it talks about who they would need to contact, meaning they could contact the Department of Labor, or if they need to, they could actually contact someone internally, and or the signs, and or certain items of sexual harassment, meaning that you feel uncomfortable being spoken to, you feel uncomfortable being touched, you're in a situation where you feel that your superior is dominating you and or making suggestive language or using suggestive language to you.
This would give uniform rules? Would the rules be outlined?
Well, we're allowing the employer to actually identify which type of sexual harassment training they would like to present to their employers.
Doesn't that create a problem?
It can, but we're working with the employers to identify best practices is really what we're trying to do. And I'm not saying the bill may not end up being amended. We're trying to identify exactly what the major employers here in Delaware are actually utilizing for sexual harassment training. Like for instance, for the state employees are offered a online video sexual harassment training that's an hour and a half long. And it's something that needs to be taken so many times within a certain number of years. And those are the things that we're trying to identify. So for instance, if I'm an employee of a large corporation here in Delaware, and part of my new employee training is to take sexual harassment training, but it's been 10 years since I've been employed with that company, and in some cases maybe 20 years. And what we're trying to do is identify what is the right time and how long in between does that training need to be redone. Yes, it was what was held in the news and everything else, but just generationally, I mean, we now have the baby boomers, and now we have the millennials, and there's such a difference in between how people handle situations. Somebody I know growing up, my father and his friends, not necessarily my father, but his friends would always say, "Oh, hun, oh, hun." And right now, if somebody said, "Oh, hun," to me right now, I would be livid. I would probably jump from this chair and just be like, "How dare you speak to me that way?" But generationally, that was something, whether I like it or not, it was acceptable because it was what was the norm there. And today the norm is not that.
No, the rules are definitely changing, and I don't think that a lot of people know the rules, especially men of a certain generation don't understand the rules, which is why I asked,
right.
Will there be rules? Can you come out and say, this is how you're supposed to act?
It will have to have certain criteria about specifically about what sexual harassment is, what we're trying to get at is to how what sexual harassment to me may be very different than what it is to you, and identifying what is and what isn't.
But there's another part to that, and I agree with everything you said, but there's another part to that there are some people that know it's sexual harassment, but are afraid because they don't have the power and someone has power over them, which is the sexual
Correct.
harassment in the workplace.
Correct. So we have to make sure. So we have to make sure that there's an avenue for that person to feel comfortable enough and to identify, again, to make sure, hey, wait a second, that person did sexually harass me, and I should call this number, or I should get in contact with my HR representative and let them know how I feel.
I saw the Chamber of Commerce, they had some problems with the bill, and they spelled them out. One was fascinating to me, and they said, we already have sexual harassment training, we already have an hour video, we already have questionnaire that they have to ask. We don't know how to fill a second hour, because I guess in your bill it says 2 hours.
Correct.
Which I think shows a problem in that.
Sure.
In that, why can't you spend 2 hours? I mean, even just
Right.
to have discussions.
Right. And I think one of the things, and again, maybe in speaking with them, and I am trying to work with them, I mean, I really am. And I'm not trying to put a burden on employers in this state. But it's very obvious that there is sexual harassment that has taken place. And, there are women who just feel uncomfortable. I mean, even just recently in the paper, we saw about a certain attorney here in Delaware that has been accused of that. And that has been apparently going on for a number of years, but nobody spoke up about it until this individual is to be appointed for a second term to another position, to the same position. So this has been going on, but the people who experienced that sexual harassment didn't feel enough confidence, or didn't feel that because who they were accusing, that it would be a legitimate circumstance, or that they would be believed. And so seizing on this opportunity, yeah, I'm seizing on the opportunity of it being a national topic of conversation right now. But I will say this to you. I mean, I think people experience sexual harassment in this state, I wouldn't say every day, but I would say, fairly frequently.
Where's the bill now?
So it was released the day that we adjourned for Easter break, and when we go back, it has been assigned to a committee, and over the next couple weeks when we do go back, it will be heard in committee, and hopefully after that heard on the floor.
So there could be some changes coming down the line. I'm sure that there'll be businesses that will have a voice in this as well.
Sure. Obviously, I have been working with the chamber. Again, it's not something that I want to make it to the employers in the state to make them feel like, oh my gosh, this is another burden the state is mandating us to do. But I think what they also need to understand is that, sexual harassment happens to men and it happens to women alike. And, for someone to be able to come to work and feel free and safe, to not be sexually harassed is only going to make for a better workforce, better productive workforce.
And just understanding what that is for everybody.
Yep.
We got to get going, but congratulations with your bill, and hope it gets through. Representative Helene Keeley, Democrat, Wilmington, she's been here several times. We always appreciate it. Thank you so much. When we come back, an organization that connects women trying to get ahead in the state of Delaware. We'll talk about that when the Delaware Way continues.